Hi, I am Mark from Finance Unleashed. There is a massive, invisible crisis bleeding the American middle class dry. It's not the housing market. It's not student loans. It is sitting in your driveway right now, slowly depreciating, while it quietly chains you to a desk for the rest of your working life. Most people think a car loan is just a tool, a way to get to work, a standard part of modern life. You need a car, you go to a lot, you finance $10,000 or $20,000, and you pay your $300 a month. Everyone does it. But what if I told you that the modern auto loan is mathematically engineered to be a trap? Today we are looking at the $10,000 trap. This is the precise mathematical threshold where millions of hardworking people unknowingly sign away their financial freedom. We are going to dissect the brutal math of negative equity. We are going to expose the psychological tricks dealerships use to blind you to the true cost of money. We will track a single $10,000 loan over 10 years to show you how it spirals into a $40,000 disaster. And finally, I will give you the exact blueprint to break the chain, escape the cycle, and turn the money you are currently bleeding into cars, into an appreciating asset that buys back your time. If you have a car payment, or you are thinking about signing for one, do not step onto a dealership lot until you finish this video. The trap never starts with a catastrophic financial decision. It starts with a reasonable one. Let's look at a completely normal, average American. We'll call him Michael. Michael's old car finally died. He needs a reliable vehicle to get to work. He doesn't want a luxury car, he just wants a solid used Honda or Toyota. He finds one on a lot for $10,000. Michael sits down at the dealership desk. He is a smart guy. He knows he has a budget. He looks the salesman in the eye and says, "I cannot afford more than $250 a month." The salesman smiles. He says, "Michael, I can absolutely get you in this car for $250 a month." Michael signs the paperwork, shakes the salesman's hand, and drives off the lot. He feels responsible. He stuck to his budget. Michael just made the single most destructive financial mistake of his decade. He identified himself as a payment buyer. In the auto industry, a payment buyer is the most profitable, most easily manipulated target on the planet. When you walk into a dealership and negotiate based on the monthly payment, you have just handed the finance manager a blank check to manipulate the three levers of financial ruin: interest rate, term length, and principal. Let's look at what the salesman actually did to Michael. To get a $10,000 car down to a $250 monthly payment, the math has to balance. If Michael has average credit, say a 650 score, the bank is going to charge him a 9% interest rate. At 9% interest, a standard 36-month loan would cost Michael $318 a month, but Michael said he can only afford $250. So, what does the dealership do? Do they lower the price of the car? Absolutely not. They just stretch the timeline. They move Michael from a 36-month loan to a 48-month loan, then a 60-month loan. If they stretch it to 60 months, 5 full years, the payment drops to $207. The salesman comes back and says, "Great news, Michael. We beat your budget. You're only paying $207 a month." Michael is thrilled, but he is entirely blind to the trap that just closed around his ankle. Because Michael didn't just buy a $10,000 car, he bought $2,450 worth of invisible air. He paid a 25% premium on a depreciating asset just for the privilege of driving it. And that is only the beginning of the nightmare. Because a 60-month loan on a $10,000 used car ignores the most violent force in the automotive world: depreciation. Chapter 2. The depreciation. Death spiral cars are not assets. A true asset puts money into your pocket. A car is an anvil. It is a depreciating liability that constantly bleeds cash. The moment you buy a car, it loses value. Used cars generally depreciate at about 10% to 15% every single year. Now, let's go back to Michael. He has a $10,000 car on a 60-month loan at 9% interest. In year 1, Michael makes all his payments. He pays $2,484 over 12 months. He feels good. But because of the way loans are amortized, the bank takes their profit first. Most of Michael's early payments went purely toward interest, not the principal. After 1 year, then Michael still owes $8,300 to the bank. But remember depreciation? The car lost 15% of its value this year, so his $10,000 car is now only worth $8,500 on the open market. He owes $8,300. The car is worth $8,500. He is barely breaking even. Now, let's look at year 2. Michael pays another $2,484. He now owes $6,500 on the loan, but the car takes another 15% depreciation hit. It also has 30,000 more miles on it. The tires are wearing out. The transmission is getting older. The car is now only worth $6,000. This is the precise moment. The trap snaps shut. Michael is now underwater. He owes more on the car than the physical metal is worth. He has negative equity. Why is this terrifying? Because Michael no longer has options. Imagine it is a rainy Tuesday in year 2. Someone runs a red light and totals Michael's car. Michael calls his insurance company, expecting them to pay off his loan. The insurance adjuster says, "Michael, we evaluated the car. Its fair market value is $6,000. We will cut a check to your bank for $6,000. But Michael owes the bank $6,500. The bank does not care that the car is destroyed. They want their money. Michael is now legally obligated to write a check for $500 out of his own pocket to pay off a car that no longer exists, and he still has to find a way to get to work tomorrow without a vehicle. This is the reality for millions of Americans. They are driving around in metal cages, deeply underwater, praying the transmission doesn't blow, because if it does, the financial math will ruin them. But what happens if the car doesn't get totaled? What happens if Michael just wants to trade it in? That brings us to the most profitable, predatory scam in the auto industry. The trade-in treadmill. Let's look at Sarah. Sarah makes $35,000 a year. Her credit score is 550. She needs a car to drive her kids to school and get to her shift. She goes to a subprime lot. They find her a $10,000 car. But Sarah isn't getting a 9% interest rate. Subprime lenders regularly charge the maximum legal limit in their state, often 20%, 25%, or even 29% interest. At 25% interest over 60 months, Sarah's $10,000 car results in a monthly payment of $293. But look at the total cost. Over 5 years, Sarah will pay the $10,000 principal, and she will pay $7,610, purely in interest. She is paying almost double the value of the car. But the predators know that cars at this price point are unreliable. That $10,000 car will inevitably break down in year 2. Sarah won't have the $1,500 to fix the transmission because she is spending all her cash paying a 25% interest loan. So, she stops paying the loan. She defaults. And this is where the subprime trap becomes a masterclass in exploitation. The dealership anticipated Sarah defaulting. In fact, they planned for it. Many of these subprime cars have hidden GPS trackers and starter interrupt devices installed in the dashboard. The moment Sarah is 3 days late on her payment, the dealership remotely disables her engine. They send a tow truck. They repossess the car. They keep all the payments Sarah made for 2 years, and then they wash the car, put it right back on the exact same lot, and sell it to the next desperate person at 25% interest. There are individual $10,000 cars on subprime lots that have been sold, repossessed, and resold 4 or 5 times. The dealership has made $30,000 in interest and principal on a single piece of junk metal, extracting wealth from the most vulnerable people in the economy. This is not a financial service. It is systemic, manufactured poverty. Chapter 5. The Blueprint for Escape, Building Real Wealth. If you are watching this, and you feel a knot in your stomach, because you are trapped in a terrible car loan, or you are deeply underwater, take a breath. The math is brutal, but it is not unbreakable. You can escape, but it requires you to fundamentally rewire how you view cars, status, and your own ego. If you want to transition from a consumer who is bleeding cash into an investor who is building generational wealth, you must execute this exact blueprint. Step 1. The ego detox. You must accept that a car is a tool, not an identity. A $3,000 Honda Civic gets you to the exact same grocery store as a $60,000 Range Rover. Nobody on the highway cares about what you are driving. They are only thinking about themselves. The moment you stop financing your ego, you win. Step 2. Attack the principal. If you are currently trapped in a high-interest auto loan, you must treat it like a financial emergency. Every single spare dollar you earn must go toward the principal balance. Do not just pay the monthly minimum. Call your lender and explicitly state, "I want to make an additional payment applied strictly to the principal." This reduces the balance that generates interest, accelerating your escape timeline. Step 3. The beater reset. If you are deeply underwater and the car is ruining your life, you need a hard reset. You save up $3,000 to $5,000 in raw cash. You sell your financed car private party to get the maximum value. You take out a small personal loan only to cover the negative equity gap, not to buy a new car. You then use your saved cash to buy a highly reliable beater, an older Toyota or Honda, in cash. It will be ugly. It won't have a backup camera, it won't have Bluetooth, but it also has no monthly payment. Step 4. The wealth gap. This is the most critical step. Let's say your old car payment was $500 a month. Now that you are driving a paid-off cash car, do not absorb that $500 back into your lifestyle. You take that exact $500 every single month, and you deploy it into appreciating assets. You put it into an SP 500 index fund. If you take a $500 car payment and invest it in the broad market at an average 8% return over 20 years, that money doesn't disappear into a scrapyard. It becomes $294,000. That is the difference between the middle class and the wealthy. The middle class uses their cash flow to buy metal that rusts. The wealthy use their cash flow to buy ownership in businesses that grow. The auto industry has spent billions of dollars on advertising to convince you that you deserve a new car. They have designed the $10,000 trap specifically to keep you working, spending, and owing. But you do not have to play their game. You have the ultimate leverage. You have the power to say no. You have the power to drive an ugly car today so that you can buy your absolute freedom tomorrow. The choice is yours, a monthly payment to a bank or a monthly payment to your future self. If you are ready to break the chains of consumer debt and start building real, measurable wealth, subscribe to the channel right now. We are exposing the financial traps they don't teach you in school and giving you the exact logic to beat them. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is the highest interest rate you have ever seen on a car loan? Until next time, protect your gap.